Hey loves, so today we are going to do a tutorial on how I dyed my hair extensions. I dyed them from, it was supposed to be a darker red to a brighter red, but my hair was so light that it just turned bright red, so I am probably going to dye the top of it darker at some point. But so red to orange to yellow. I did end up going back in and making the red further down. As you'll see in the video, it was kind of half red, half orange and yellow, if that makes sense. Dark red, bright red, orange and yellow. But I went back in and I wanted the red to go further down so it would blend better with my natural hair. My natural hair ends like right here. See this little piece? Tuck that in there. So you'll be able to see how I dyed them. It's really easy. The ones I'm wearing right now, these are VP Fashion hair extensions. They are in 260 grams and 24 inches. These suckers are long and amazing. Let me see if I can show you. See how long these are? Look at this. Crazy. Super crazy long extensions. So you can see there's still a transition of orange to yellow, but because I went back in with the red later and I washed it through and I was really tired and I didn't put any more yellow dye on the ends, the transition's a little smoother, but also not as choppy, if that makes sense. So if you want more of a like very obvious separation of color, I would put dye back over when you go back through, or make sure that you dye it first. Dye it right the first time. I actually really like how this turned out with just the orange and yellow on the ends, because I do prefer the red around my face. What are you doing? Hi, princess. Hi. You say hi? Always gotta be on the show. She's so cute. I hope that makes sense. If you want the more obvious separation of color, I would definitely try and do it right the first time with whatever transition you want. Oh, I feel like a mermaid. I feel like I want to be Ariel right now. If you guys want to check out VP Fashion extensions for yourself, you can use the code CAKE and get $10 off a set for yourself. These are, I think, the longest and thickest extensions that they have, and I do have all of them in my hair today. Anyway, so I think that is everything, and please thumbs up this video for more hair tutorials, and anyway, I think that's everything. Let's get to the tutorial. All right, loves, let's get started. This is everything you're gonna need. Of course, you're gonna need your hair extensions. Then you're gonna need your red dye. So you're going to need dark red and bright red. You're going to need your orange and yellow dye. You're going to need your tin foil, some conditioner, some plastic spoons, and some paper bowls. I have 4 of each. Some gloves, very important. Alright, so we're going to get started. You're going to put a little bit of conditioner in each bowl. This is totally optional, as we do want the color to still be bright. I find that the dye is easier to apply when you add a little bit of conditioner. Some of these are really thick, especially the raw brand. That dye is pretty thick, so I like to dilute it just a little bit just to make it a little smoother and easier to dye the hair with. And if you want your colors lighter, just add more conditioner. So I just added the yellow to one bowl, the orange to another bowl. Both of those are by Pravana. And then I'm adding added the Manic Panic Vampire Red to one bowl, that's the darkest red, and then the Neon Red by Raw into the other bowl. I later ended up putting some of the Poppy Red in with the Vampire Red in this bowl right now that I'm mixing. But whatever dark red, neon red, orange and yellow you would like to use, go for it. So I'm just stirring those together, making sure that the conditioner is evenly distributed through the color. Make sure you get a pretty long sheet of it, especially if you're using 24-inch extensions like I am. So first you're going to want to comb through your extensions and make sure there's no tangles, and then lay them out flat. And I always start with the lightest shade. It just personally seems the best way to go for me, and it's always worked the best. So I'm just going to apply the yellow to the ends. And I showed you 2 different ways. This way I'm not even using the brush, I'm just using my hands and kind of working it through. Make sure that you flip the extensions over and back and forth, and make sure that the hair is thoroughly saturated. I do take the yellow up further than I actually want the yellow. That way I can layer the orange right on top of it, and it will make the transition much smoother because you're mixing that orange and that yellow. Super easy. And then you're going to want to take the orange up even higher than you want the orange, because you're going to do the same thing with the neon red and layer it over the orange. And I have found in my many times of dyeing extensions that it's always better to add a little extra dye than you think you're going to need on there, just to make sure they are thoroughly saturated, because more than once in the past I have had to go back in and re-dye them and add a little bit more dye if I missed any spots. And this is the first set that I actually didn't have to go back in at all, besides the fact that I did end up going back in for the red to make the red go further down. But if I had been happy with where the red was, then I would not have had to go back in, because I made sure to use plenty of dye and make sure that they were, again, thoroughly saturated. How many times can I say that? Anyway, so now I am just doing the dark red and the neon red, and I'm kind of going back and forth, mixing them, making sure that underneath the clips is all covered, and then I kind of go back in and add a little more neon red just to make sure the transition is good, and back with the orange. Alright, and those first ones are complete. Now that I have explained it a little bit, I'm going to let you guys just watch me dye one more piece to get a better idea, and so we're just going to watch that. Here we go. So that is everything. If you guys have any questions about extensions, about hair color, about any of that stuff, please leave that down below. I'll also link my last how I dyed my hair and about my hair extensions and hair down below, so you can check that out. That might answer some of your questions. Yeah, that's everything. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching.